kind of got two careers in a sense, because you had your like mixtape career, and then you got your what they call the studio album. But sure. I guess when the record deals come in.
Sure. When somebody else paying for it.
Right. What was the transition like though, coming from like that? That era was cold too. You know, sure. I don't think that era gets enough credit. But what was the transition going from that and having them deals and doing deals, especially because you was doing deals with like MACK-10'S.
Sure.
You came out the gate like some big heavyweight people.
Well, before that, I had to deal with SONY Urban.
Okay.
They just dissolved it before my project could get finished or even really worked on. And then I did the deal with MACK-10 and Birdman, Cash Money Records.
Okay.
It's definitely cheaper.
So, okay, you was with Cash Money through MACK-10.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was together. But before that, I had a deal at SONY Urban. But the company SONY Urban, the record company dissolved SONY Urban.
Okay.
And I was just stuck on there for a while. SONY Urban was a branch off of Sony. Beyonce was a part of SONY Urban. You know, Columbia is under Sony. I mean, it's a few artists that was under Sony, but they shut down SONY Urban, like right after I got my deal with the person I got my deal with, Mike Lynn. So when I got out of that, I really ran into MACK-10 probably within the first 3 months of it.
Yeah.
And he wanted to do business. We fucked with each other instantly. Like we both come from a culture like heavily, you know what I mean? He's a hell of a low ride dude. You know what I mean? He know his car shit like impeccable. He understand the way you're supposed to see the culture better than most people. And we just hit it off, you know what I mean? The way we just clicked was like crazy. He just really showed me a lot of love. And one of the first people he sent the music to was Birdman, Cash Money. And that's how I ended up doing a deal with Cash Money and Birdman.
Okay, so Beach Cruiser, the first album was through Hoo-Bangin'?
So it's through Hoo-Bangin', Cash Money Records.
Okay. And then y'all also did an album together.
Yeah, Mack and Malone.
Yeah.
That album was dope though, you know what I mean? Like Mack kind of changed it up. Shout out to MACK-10, he changed it up. But the original idea of that album, I told a story that was like hella dope. It was like in 5 acts, how I did the music. It was like we had sold so much dope because me and Mack had that in common. We both sold dope. Like I sold a lot of Sherm and fuck with some rocks, and he sold a lot of dope. So I thought that was a good angle for both of us to talk about our life in the streets. And the way I wrote the album was very much like we sold so much dope that the cartel let us be the first 2 black members of the cartel. So if you hear the original version of it, which I'm probably gonna release, and Mack gonna probably be on my ass, but he'll let me do it. He respect more artistic presence enough, you know what I mean, long as he making some money. But it was like the first act was a celebration, you know what I mean? Songs like Winning, all these dope songs was first, and then it was Back to Business. It was told in 4 acts, and it was dope, the original way. But then he kind of restructured it from a musical aspect, and I don't think I was really strong there as a songwriter at that point, like the sonics of music. I just knew how to tell a story, so I can structure it all based off the story, and that would keep it glued together. Kind of like Good Kid, Mad City. Like that's kind of how I tell stories creatively.
That's dope. Right. I think that's hella dope when motherfuckers take that like cinematic approach to like the rap shit. Yeah.
For me, it was the only way I could do it. You know what I mean? Now, I just started learning about the sonic part of storytelling right now when it comes to making records. Dr. Dre does that, whereas he can let an album unfold sonically.
Yeah.
You know, Jay-Z, you know, Blueprint, you know, Scarface can tell a story sonically. I didn't know enough about music to do it that way, but I was innately a natural storyteller, so I could make words and ideas of songs flow together. And even if sonically the sonics didn't mesh, the song was so strong over it because that like you would get the story. But Mack had been in the business for years, so he was like, man, fuck this, don't nobody want to hear no story and shit. And I still think he's crazy because I think the game is built on stories.
Thanks.
So, but you know, we didn't see eye to eye about that back then, but it was dope. Like the way the original Beach Cruiser was and the way the original Mack and Malone, they were these really dope stories.
Thanks. Do you ever think that Mack and Malone album kind of get lost in the shuffle when speaking on your discography or your catalog?
It don't get lost. It just, So at that time, I was kind of the workhorse of the crew. Mac had pretty much paid his dues and arrived at the top spot, and it was up to me to carry the load. So even when he reorganized the album, I probably should have argued with him. Like I should have probably debated him. I mean, don't get me wrong, MACK-10 writes the checks and MACK-10 tells me, but at that point, if you the workhorse, you got to know how the work is going to flow. Like you got to own your era. You got to own your generation. You got to own your gift. And I don't think I did a good job at that time of owning my gift in the conversation with Mac. It was like, all right, well, you want to change it? Change it. I should have argued his ass down, you know what I mean? And Mac loved me enough to where he would have been okay with that.
For sure. Is Mac easy to work with?
Yeah. He allows you to be yourself to some degree. Not as much as Birdman is way more freer. Mac is still kind of tightly on it as he's cultivating your talents, he's more hands-on with it. But Birdman, he always trusted where I was at, like naturally. So, but Mac is easy to work with. I've worked with harder people. Sure. Mac is definitely easier to work with than most people I work with.
Thanks. You got any like interesting MACK-10 stories that would probably like personify his personality to people who don't really know him? Like something like maybe experience or something y'all.
Oh man, this is fucking funny. Let me think.
Any good MACK-10 stories?
MACK-10 stories. Oh, so this is MACK-10 in a nutshell.
All right.
So we got a show in Palm Springs, right? We're gonna do a radio interview and a concert, like an after party for a show in Palm Springs. So we meet up. It's me and MACK-10 on the bill together. Got the little homie. I'm on the bill with him. So we go to eat after the show, right? Or no, we going to eat before the show. So we at this fire-ass steakhouse. Mind you, we up in this nigga wearing some Dickies. Like we looking like LA gang members. But we had like this 5-star steakhouse, you know what I'm saying, doing a thing. And we up in there and Head, shout out to DJ Head. So Head is not a DJ, or he's just starting to DJ at this point. So we at this bomb-ass steakhouse. So Head is about to order some wine, and he put some ice in it. And Mac looked at him and said, "Blood, you can't be embarrassing me up in here like that." That's MACK-10 in a nutshell.
So just
it's hella hood nigga, but understand like fine dining and cuisine.
Okay.
You feel me? Like, you can't be putting no ice in your wine, Head. Nah, blood. That's Mac.
Nah, that's dope though. That's a good one.